If you go to a marathon, a running or cycling event, or pretty much any competitive sport, chances are you will see one brand of watches more than others: Garmin. While previously the Garmin brand was associated with basic watches which used monochrome displays and did not quite have the functionality of a full-on smartwatch, the latest Garmin Venu 3 aims to change that with a lot more functionality while keeping Garmin's big advantage: battery life measured in days rather than hours. So is the Garmin Venu 3 finally that ultimate smartwatch with 1 week battery life that you should get? Let's find out in our in-depth review. The Garmin Venu 3 comes in a very simple box, and the unboxing experience is bare bones to say the least. The packaging feels kind of cheap, and inside the box you have the watch with a strap on it, the proprietary Garmin charging cable, as well as a user manual. Interestingly, we could not find any information about the processor Garmin uses for these two watches, and if you know something about that, we would love to hear from you in the comments section. We love that the Garmin Venu 3 comes in two sizes: the 45mm larger Venu 3 model and then the 41mm small Venu 3S. Both watches come with a plastic body, and only the bezel around the screen is made of stainless steel. Some reviewers have mentioned Mushi buttons, and while that might be the case for some units, the buttons on the watch we have are perfectly good. The larger Venu 3 uses 22mm straps, while the Venu 3S we have uses 18mm straps. The silicone sport band that comes in the box is also soft and very comfortable, and we have found Garmin bands to be very durable and last for years. Garmin was once known for sports watches that are used mostly by athletes, but with the switch to OLED screens and by adding support for calls and a voice assistant, the Garmin Venu 3 aims to be more than that. It aims to be a smartwatch, playing in the same leagues as Apple Watches and Galaxy Watches. Well, we have some bad news about the interface and UI. After reviewing all of the above smartwatches, using the Venu 3 actually felt like going back in time. Very few Garmin watch faces do, at least not nearly in that amount. Garmin has an app store for watch faces, but after wasting literally a couple of hours looking for a decent watch face that would show me the information I was used to seeing on other smartwatches, I just gave up. Garmin really needs to work on creating at least a few truly good-looking, information-dense watch faces. That works fine, but such an interface would be a perfect fit for a digital crown like you have on Apple Watches and the Pixel Watch. I can see how Garmin carries this interface from way back in the day of memory and pixel displays with no touchscreen support and button-only navigation, but we are not in those days anymore, and the interface needs to adjust and adjust quickly. The GPS accuracy has also improved, and while you don't have dual-band GPS support on this watch, we still found it to be extremely accurate in tracking your workouts. You can also track your sleep with the Garmin Venu 3, and in fact you really should, if you want to have an accurate body battery score, which is one of the big selling points of this watch. The watch was able to accurately determine when you fell asleep and when you wake up, and gives you a breakdown of your sleep stages. We love that in the Garmin app you can also tap on each sleep stage, and the watch will quickly explain why it is important and how the time you spent in that sleep stage compares to optimal times. The one upgrade the Garmin Venu 3 has over other similar Garmin sports watches like the Forerunner 265, for example, is the new Garmin Elevate Gen 5 sensor. Yes, the watch will be able to spot signs of atrial fibrillation. Skin temperature is already available on other smartwatches, so Garmin is kind of playing catch-up here. But this is important because it helps better determine the duration of sleep stages, ovulation cycles for women, and the onset of illness. Garmin Venu 3, battery and charging. Don't bring a charger for weekend trips. While the Garmin Venu 3 falls short when it comes to the interface and watch faces, it absolutely makes up for that with battery life. Forget about overnight charging and constantly worrying whether your watch will last until the next day or if it won't die midnight and not record your sleep. You can expect a bit more out of the larger Venu 3 model. That is impressive. And if you turn off the always-on function, you can add a few days more to that. Forgot your Garmin charger on that weekend trip? No need to worry. Speaking of charging, this watch uses Garmin's proprietary cable pin connector. Some find this a bit less convenient than modern magnetic chargers used by Apple Watches and Galaxy Watches. But I actually don't mind this cable at all, and I like that you have a solid wired connection, and you can be certain your watch is charging at a fast rate without overheating. A full charge takes just a bit more than an hour on both watches. Garmin watches do not offer cellular connectivity, and that is one downside you need to account for. You have a speaker on the left side of the Garmin Venu 3, and yes, you can place and receive calls on the watch, but only when your phone is nearby. As for haptics, you can set the strength of the vibration, but the vibration motor itself is not quite as precise and sharp as you get on an Apple Watch, for instance. We've already talked about the biggest rivals, the Apple Watch, the Samsung Galaxy Watch, and the Google Pixel Watch. All of them have a better thought-out interface and richer smartwatch functionality, but none of them have the multi-day battery life of the Garmin. At the end of the day, the Garmin Venu 3S will likely stay on my wrist after this review is done, and I think that is the best testament to its capabilities. Garmin has the workout stats, battery life, comfort, and now the screen quality, but it really needs to put the work in optimizing that outdated interface and watch faces. And if it does that, it has all the chances of beating Apple and Samsung at their own game.